right, welcome back to All Hitches, Nova's #1 football podcast. Coach Mesa, happy Sunday, buddy.
Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. It's been a what a long, strange trip it's been, huh?
Man, from August 1st to December, what are we? I don't even know anymore. December 15th.
I think middle of July, right, is when we decided we're going to make this trip, right? We decided middle of July is what we're going to do.
Yeah, that's right.
And here we are now with crowning a 6A champ.
I mean, and maybe one of the greatest games of all time. And I don't just mean in Virginia history. I mean, ever. That game was amazing.
I mean, 2 touchdowns in the last 18 seconds.
Wow. And we were, had the live cast going, and we were joking about, maybe they can pull a Commanders and Jaden Daniels and throw that deep Hail Mary, and it happened.
There it goes. Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. It was awesome. Again, going back to what just kind of quickly, it was awesome having all those guys on. Coach Vossler, Coach Van Acker, Coach Crush, Carl Frederick. I think
Doug
Craig. As far as high school football goes, I don't know if you had a better breakdown of like guys talking. And so I talked, oddly enough, with VA a little bit after. Again, we're personal friends with a lot of these guys. And I was like, it was nice to be able to sit there and talk like scheme and ways people are adjusting to things. I think you rarely get that kind of insight, right, in high school football that you got last night. Not I'm tuning our own horn or anything. And it wasn't like
okay, buddy, toot away.
It wasn't like that was our plan, but I think that we really got. I mean, having Foster be able to talk about Madison and Crush, same thing, right? Knowing kind of game planning for them, how it was going to go. But that was really cool, and we're looking forward to this will be our last. This and our next show, probably our last show about the 2024 season, and then we're going to be on 2025.
Right, like just fast pace, moving forward. Like a hurry up offense.
Yeah.
You head right into the next quarter, man. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, so we have our fantasy draft coming up. We're gonna have one more show. Oh no, I'm sorry, this is a show. But hey, we're gonna after this we'll have one more show to do the fantasy draft where myself and Coach Dash will be drafting our dream teams, right?
The Nova
first
annual Nova Dream Team Fantasy Draft.
Better
than making all region. Better than making all Met. This is the award that everybody wants.
Yeah, I mean, and then hopefully the question will be who would win, right? Team Mesa or Team Dash, who would win?
Yeah, and we'll do a vote.
We'll do a vote. We'll put on
NFL
Twitter, right?
films. We'll simulate the game.
So we got that going on, which is exciting.
Another exciting thing I must mention. You were saying tooting your own horn. Well, why don't we just toot our own? You've heard of the Peabody Awards. You've heard of the Pulitzer Prize. You ever heard of what's that peace one that everyone likes?
The Nobel Peace Prize.
The Nobel Peace one. Let me tell you something, buddy. We got one here that trumps all of them. Better than all of them. We got the preliminary nomination to the Nova Legends and Nova Soccer Source Awards. That, my friend, is the kind of award that I'm talking about, buddy. Congratulations to you and to me.
Yeah, we were nominated for our coverage.
I think it was his contributions to the game.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was pretty cool. I mean, yeah, we're the fact is someone nominated for something. I mean,
thank whoever that was. Thank them for that nomination.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
To be said in the same sentence as a Nova legend.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a sandwich this year. Why not get a legend award too?
Yeah. I mean, pretty. I'll do the Sally Field, right? You like me. You guys really like me.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and then we might do one more show in between, possibly. If you have any questions you want us to answer about anything in general, I mean, you could ask us any questions. You could ask us questions about podcasting. You could ask questions about what we thought about certain things during the season. I think we've answered a lot of them, but if you have any other questions you might want us to answer, maybe
be kind of
a grab bag of that.
That's our gift to you, the grab bag gift. That'll be our gift episode if you guys want that. But like you said, next episode will be our last episode of 24.
Yeah.
And that'll be our fantasy draft episode. Now, you and I were just talking off camera. there could be one or two more shows, kind of live shows that happen during the winter break, our winter vacation, so to speak.
Yeah.
If any of these coaching vacancies are filled.
Yeah,
So
we have quite a few. We have quite a few coaching vacancies, right? So just right now in Fairfax, we have Woodson, Herndon, and do we have another one? Langley.
Langley.
So right now we have 3. Oh, Justice.
3. Justice 4, and then you have Yorktown 5.
Yorktown 5. So we have 5 right now. And then in PW, you have a bunch popping up, right? So right now, you have
the bunch in PW.
Yeah, Patriot, which was shocking. And Patriot and Forest Park was shocking.
Yes, Patriot, Forest Park. There's 2.
Yeah, and then Hilton just opened up.
Right, Hilton 3. Is there a 4th, or is just 3 right now?
It's the one I can think of right now.
Yeah, I think it's just 3. So that's a lot of
Colgan. I'm sorry, Colgan.
That just got opened up too. So there's like 7 or 8 jobs.
That's actually 8 jobs.
8
and
jobs
what's really interesting is you and I were talking maybe 2 weeks ago. We were like, man, I don't see any jobs opening up this year.
And just like that, you get 8.
I mean, this may be the most amount of jobs that opened in the very beginning that I can think of since I've been here. I mean, that's
right, because there's always that big wave, and that's the thing is that wave in January, February going to come? Because every year there is that January. A lot of people just want to put it off until after
the holidays.
So I can't imagine. Let's just say another 4 open up. You're looking at what? Looking at 9, 10, like 12 or 13 job openings. Wow,
that'd be wild.
That would be wild. We're already fielding calls. People are calling Coach Daz and Mesa saying we're gonna get the all Hitches crew. No. Right now we're focused on the show. We're focused on the show right now.
You made me lose my train of thought. I had something else I was going to bring up, and I completely.
That's what I do. I'm sorry.
It'll come back. Oh,
but
I actually do remember. There's one more thing I would like, if anybody, and again, our viewership is declining as the season went on, but anyone still listening, did you like better us being live at places? Now the ability for us to try to live stream the stuff is really difficult, and we're figuring that now. I think we had some ideas, think we could do it, or did you like it better where we were on and we were talking about multiple games at the same time, kind of doing it for home? I don't know which one the viewing
like the red zone approach.
Yeah, the one we did during the playoffs. We did it during the playoffs a few times.
Yeah.
And we did the last week of the season, right? Then we do it the last week of the season too.
Yeah, you're right. Because we were debating. You're right. One thing we were debating for next year, obviously, we got a long way to go to talk about this and think about this.
Yeah.
But this show's kind of, it's only one game. We've got a lot of spare time here. Was doing a red zone approach where we're at home. We were trying to talk to NFHS and see if we can get the game shown on our stream, which would be even better. But just us talking about all the games and having access to all of them and talking and kind of commentating through all of them and flipping around. Or like you said, do we go to one like we did Madison?
Yeah.
Get good streaming ability, right? Better Wi-Fi, and then do a game of the week live there and commentate that way.
Right. So let us know what you think. If you think that which one you guys liked better.
I'm going to tell you, I think that some people, and I could be wrong, but I feel like just talking to people, that red zone approach, and we didn't do that till later in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But so many people sit around wondering what's going on in the other games, even when they're at certain games.
Yeah.
And they were listening to us in the first round of the playoffs. I could imagine throughout the course of the season, people being at games and being like, I can just listen to these guys while I'm watching, and I can hear what's going on in all the games.
Right.
Because we're going to bounce around.
Yeah. So let us know. Let us know what you think.
So that's kind of some of the things we wanted to talk about. And obviously we're going to talk some more about all those topics over not only next episode, but probably also in 2025, which is going to be weird to say.
Yeah. 2025. Wow. That's where the year's gone.
I know. I feel like I'm still 25, let alone we're in 25.
What's wild is, right, you say like 20 years ago, you think, like 1990 something?
Yeah.
Well, what is it, the old one where they say if Back to the Future was made today, he would go back to like so what he went back in 85, went back 20 years.
It was 30 years, 85 to 55.
It was 85 to 55?
Yeah, it was 55.
And if he went back 30 years, he would go back to
98, 97.
95 is where he'd go back. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. So,
well, buddy,
we don't have a fabulous 5. We don't have a fabulous 4.
No,
we don't have a terrific three. We don't have a top two.
Yeah, and all of our tops and terrifics and fabulouses are going to come out in this conversation, right? They're gonna come out in this conversation. We don't need to name them separately. Let's get back to it, man. Let's get to this game kicked off, and what we saw, the first drive by Oscar Smith, and we said, "Uh-oh!" Once again, we were having. Did we just see the beginning of a first round knockout? So that was our first thought there.
Yeah, yeah. Just preliminary thoughts of, especially as we had field. They had for this NFHS, they had multiple camera angles, or they had two. I mean, they essentially had two camera angles, but they I guess multiple is more than one. And Oscar Smith just looks the role, don't they? I mean, they are big. I did not realize that quarterback until is 6'2", a sophomore, 6'2", 6'3". Holy smokes, man. Those running backs were big. Those linemen were huge. You know, they looked the role, and that first drive, it looked like Madison may be in trouble, because they kind of just walked right down the field. They got stopped inside the goal line. They have to get the punt block, they score, and you're like, this could be trouble. And then fumble the opening, the next kickoff.
That Madison D, the old cliche, bend but don't break.
Yeah.
Right? And how many times did they get down short yard situation, and Oscar Smith would go for it, you know, and usually it was in their territory.
Yeah.
And they'd stop him.
Yeah. I know. I mean, I didn't go back and watch the film, but just based on what I remember, they won probably almost, I want to say 80 to 90% of the short yard situations.
Yeah.
I mean, they just dug in their heels, and what a group effort by them. I mean, and kind of like, I don't know, I think Vossler might have been saying on there, and he was right. You know, pretty much everyone said all week, oh, this Oscar Smith team is going to blow the doors off the guy. It's not be close.
Yep.
Be close. And, you know, I mean, I don't think Madison could have played any worse than they did in that first half. I mean, the mistakes they made in that first half were just killers.
Yes.
And to go into the half only trailing 7-0, I mean, really was a testament. I thought it took them a while to kind of get their sea legs on offensively too.
Yeah,
it
did.
And then although, you know, another key part of that game was missing that wide open that slant, that bubble go that they
I know. Right.
They hit that play, and you know, who knows what happens. But yeah, that first quarter I think belonged to Oscar Smith, and then from there on out, I mean, just Madison just kind of dug in, and I feel like they were the better team for the majority of that game.
I think second and third quarters specifically.
Yeah.
Like second quarter, you know, they should have scored once or twice. They had the missed you know, wide open guy down the field for a half. That's a sure touchdown. There was a fumble, I think.
Yeah, nicely fumbles the ball.
Right, there was that first big fumble. And then third quarter is when they got going, I thought, really, obviously. Yeah. And then there was that big fumble in the fourth quarter that took all the steam out of it.
Yeah. You know, we talked early on that Yates had to kind of show up, and he did. He did. He really didn't make the big mistake. You know,
what did I say? Composed.
Oh
my God, I've never seen anyone more composed. You know, Joe Montana was the right comparison.
You know, he played really well. He played really well, but although that's what you expect from a senior quarterback, right? That's expectation. Is that
a good senior quarterback?
Good senior quarterback.
Right.
Well, especially a quarterback that's been deep in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Last year, did he start as a sophomore? I don't think he did start as a sophomore.
I don't think he started as a sophomore. No,
but he started as a junior. So you know that was the expectation. And although I think you could account to get all the lists, is that you had a team full of seniors versus a team that we found out were sophomores and juniors.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that Madison defense as a unit, probably.
Oh God.
I mean, that's one of those things, and kind of a no-name defense. Don't get me wrong, Ambrose is really good. You know, Maiden's really good. They have some really talented kids on the team, but for the most part, they're not Battlefield with Binkowski.
Right. I mean, they're not these, like, we were talking about this earlier today. Madison, just a testament to toughness, to high football IQs, to guys who study, guys who work, who are athletic also, don't get me wrong, but not, like we were saying, not these Division I guys all over, not these super athletes, not these blue chippers.
Yeah.
They're going to frickin' Virginia Tech or Cincinnati, like the one guy over there. So, I mean, there is levels to this, right? And athletically, they weren't that, but they make up for that with all the other qualities that they had.
They do all the small things right. You know, again, going back to what I was saying, like Battlefield, right? I think we equated Battlefield and Madison being very similar.
Right.
Coach, right? Well, Battlefield on defense, Binkowski, the defensive tackle, I can't think of his name. The middle linebacker.
And Woodson, the DB. I mean, they were loaded with Division I guys on the defense.
On the defense, right? So they had name pieces on there, right? Guys who are going to be playing on Saturday, either this year or next year.
Well, let's be honest. The Madison guys are the guys, and who's to say some of them couldn't play? But it's that, that the way it is nowadays. It's that they have a matrix, and some of them are this short, this much too short,
right?
Or point, however many seconds, right? 0.5 seconds, 0.3 seconds, 0.2 seconds, too slow, and they don't make the matrix. So all of a sudden they get put to the walk on or D2, D3 category because of just very small things that a lot of those scouts do miss out on.
Yeah. And this is what I'm disappointed in. And this goes for a lot of states. And it's not just Virginia. I know New Mexico was, when I was there, was a little guilty of it after Rocky Long left. If I'm Virginia Tech or if I'm UVA, I see if those guys want to come and PWO on my team, right?
Oh man, yeah.
I try to keep these kids. If like you said, if they're just a few things away, maybe I can play with them. I kick the tires on those kids a little bit.
Ambrose has size.
Yeah.
Ambrose is the real deal, man. Ambrose, we talked about him nonstop. He was banged up, I guess. Number 5, Quincy D.
Yeah.
Long last name, I want to call Quincy D. Quincy Weed Deswepeler. Holy smokes, he was all over the field.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was really impressed. We were already impressed by Madison's D.
Yeah.
Almost feel like it was impossible for us to be more impressed.
Yeah.
But watching what they did against that team of what you just said of just, top tier athletes.
Yeah. Oh, that Oscar Smith quarterback.
Oh my God.
Andrews Lonnie.
Bonnie Andrews, yeah.
The cannon on that kid.
Wow. And when he wanted to use his legs.
Yeah. And that may be one of the key parts of the game, right? In the first 3 quarters, he was really reluctant to run. And as soon as he started doing it, it really put the mass in. They couldn't cover everything.
No, how are you supposed to?
I mean, they were so talented. And
if I'll tell you what, I mean, we won't be seeing them till doing this Nova coverage until this game next year, right?
Yeah.
But if that guy really starts using his legs, like a lot, good luck.
Right. Yeah. They're going to be a huge problem. And here's what I'll say for Madison's defense. And I know we may have a listener or two who may vehemently disagree with me, but this shows me that had they played Hayfield, that I think this shows that they could have played with them. There was a thought process out there, and I'll admit right now I'm a little guilty of it. I was like, oh, I don't know, man. That
not
Hayfield,
this guy.
Not
this guy.
That Hayfield team was pretty talented, and I think that's undeniable how talented that Hayfield team was. But I think that shows as a unit that they can dig in and they can play. Now Jeff Overton is an amazing talent. Juju Preston, amazing talent. Isaiah French, I was so big on Isaiah French all year. I still think Isaiah French may have been the best quarterback in 6A.
And he's definitely an underrated quarterback.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And Vince or Dennis, phenomenal athletes. They have athletes all over. But I think that last night showed that Madison defense as a unit playing together, 11 guys, and I think Voss said last night, there's only one football. There's only one. So you just got to have to defend the one guy, the one guy every play. And those guys would be really tough to deal with. But I think they showed last night that, that scheme wise, defensively, that they're tough. They're tough kids. And I wish we could have seen them take on that Hayfield team.
I agree with you. A couple things on that. One, I mean, there was some back and forth. And I had fun with it. I mentioned doing the All Hitches Bowl or whatever. There was some, back and forth, and it was all in good fun. It was all gamesmanship between the Hayfield guys and the Oscar Smith guys before the game. Earlier in the week. Well, like you said, that proved to all of us that, I mean, essentially Madison and Oscar Smith were even, neck and neck, which means then the other game would have been good as hell too. You know, it would have been a phenomenal game. So it's a shame we missed that. And then the other thing is, which I thought you were going to say a second ago, I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. After watching what I watched last night, and we'll see who gets the first pick of the draft coming up in the Nova draft. Don Nicely might be, I think you can say maybe is the best player in the state of Virginia.
Wow, that's a bold statement. I mean, he did carry that team, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, you and I were talking about this, and this is the beauty of sports, right? Is these kind of conversations, right?
Yeah.
We don't get an answer, and it's a team sport, so it's not like it's boxing where you can say you versus you. So it's kind of a BS debate, anyways, right? In reality, but it's fun to have, regardless. It's fun to have, and the argument against would be, I mean, who would the other guy be? It would probably be Jeffrey Overton.
Yeah.
Right. Argument for Jeffrey Overton. This is a fun debate. I'm debating with myself right now, but the argument for Jeffrey Overton is the body of work. Right. And you can't argue with that. However, maybe you can, because the argument for Nicely would be, look what the hell he did against these top tier opponents. Right. Combined with, where was his juju?
Mm-hmm.
Where was his or Dennis?
Yeah.
They had, and then last year they had some guys that graduated and went on to play, places too, from last year's team at Freedom. So Don Nicely was doing it without, he had nice pieces at Madison, but defense is where they hung their hat. Offensively, I mean, he was here, then everyone else was here.
Yeah.
So he did it kind of alone without any other blue chippers around him, blue chippers, solid players. Whereas at Hayfield / Freedom, there was always other blue chippers around. So that would be the argument the other way.
Yeah. And the other argument for Overton was that he was a starter on defense. He went both ways pretty much the whole game, right? And also for a lot of times he was assigned to the best player on the other side, right? Like he would be the guy who'd go and stay on their guy. So.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a fun debate to have, and you can make an argument either way. So that's the beauty of talking sports.
And we were talking recruiting wise, how UVA and Virginia Tech have not made that kid an offer is JMU is mind blowing to me. You have got to keep a kid like that in your state.
I know.
That is absolutely.
Yeah.
I said that you kick the tires on the other Madison kids, but Dominic Nicely has the measurables.
I agree. Tech, kudos to Tech for keeping Overton in state.
Oh yeah,
right? Should have done the 1-2 punch, right?
Yes.
Imagine having Nicely in the slot and Overton in the backfield. Oof.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
That and when you do that, it makes other Virginia kids want to stay.
Yes.
Right. You start recruiting. I personally think any college, you have to build a friends around your state, and you do that by recruiting your kids hard first, right? But a lot of the colleges want to run off to Florida and to Georgia and to California and to Texas and get their 50th best guy as opposed to getting the best guy in your state. And I just think it's ridiculous. Now, someone did tell me that a lot of times that I think he said, I don't know if he said one of the local state schools are pretty good. He said they think themselves, well, we'll let them go off to a lower a group of 5 school, and if they do well, we'll bring them back. It's not the way that works, man. If they do well, they're not coming back to you. They're going to go to Penn State. They're going to go to
right.
They're going to go to a big. They're going to jump over you. So I just think the fact that he's leaving the state to go play football is
it's a shame.
Is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
So look, so halftime, it was a one score game at halftime.
Yeah.
Come back in the third quarter, and that's where it flipped.
Yeah. Dom Nicely was scoring. He scores on a 46-yard pass, and then we're even going into the fourth quarters. Exactly. Well, actually, no, we're 7-6. Mid extra point.
And who knew at the time that was actually we did. We were talking about that that would foreshadow some things to come, right?
Yeah. But it's the kind of game that Madison absolutely was playing for to go into, right?
Yeah.
1-point game going into the fourth quarter. They were exactly where they wanted to be.
Right.
Meanwhile, you can tell Oscar Smith, and we talked a little about it. The body language is kind of weird coming in. They still hadn't been trailing, but the fact that they had never trailed before, and then The fourth quarter comes around, and Madison takes the lead, 14-7.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we talked about the thing. You kind of tell body language of the Oscar Smith kids was not good. It was not.
Right.
It was in a situation, and also they were young kids, right? I mean, the sophomore quarterback, a lot of sophomores, a lot of juniors, never been in the situation before, walking the field that they thought that they were going to dominate walking out there on.
When we made that conversation, that joke, we talked about the Rocky Ford joke, right? He bleeds. He's just a man. At that point, Oscar Smith, everyone all week, I said they're going to walk all over these guys. For the first time, there was doubt.
Yeah, but then they started getting the ball to Johnson.
Well, they had that 90. They had a 95-yard drive.
They started finding ways to get him the football.
Yeah.
I think early on they just thought he'll be able to take the top off the defense, and he wasn't able to. But they started finding the reverses to him, the ends arounds. They started being able to get him the football, and I thought that was smart on the Oscar Smith's part is finding ways, because he's got to touch the ball. I mean,
right.
They weren't able to run the ball nearly as well as they were during that opening drive against them, and they started being able to get him the football. So
that 90 some odd yard drive was, I mean, that was insane. That was a huge drive.
Yeah, and they had some key pickups too. Key
right.
Third down conversions.
Yeah, big third downs.
Yeah,
so that 90 some odd yard drive that tied the game.
That tied the game, and then
Madison was driving.
Yeah, Madison driving, and then gets a key for Yates. Finds a guy, gets open, and then the fumble. I still feel awful for that guy. I mean, I'm sure sleeping last night was not easy,
right,
for him. Just a tough spot to be in.
Now they scored fast though, and it gave them some time. They scored maybe too fast.
Who was that? Oscar Smith. Yeah. No. Oscar Smith. When the fumble came, Oscar Smith. That's when they took the lead.
That's what I meant. They took the lead.
Oh, too fast. So with 18 seconds left to go, it's a little too much time on the clock.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you're right. But nowadays, I feel like the way these, you see so much. I feel like it's not a coincidence, right? Like the Mahomes thing against Buffalo, and all these teams now move the ball. Like kids have gotten bigger, faster, stronger.
Yeah. And
I feel like, again, it's a miracle to see a Hail Mary like that. I just feel like we're seeing more of that stuff.
And then, that gets us to the end of the game, right? I mean, they get a pickup for a few yards, a nice gets out of bounds. And then, Yates is running around, scrambling, and then he took a shot.
He did take a shot. And I don't think he saw, and I don't know if he was asked this after the game, but I personally don't think he saw nicely. I don't. Maybe he saw nicely and just knew that's where he was running. He was middle of the field. But like he was, because if you just do a bunch of little 360s and then turn around and have to throw the ball, you're not identifying someone down the field 50 yards down the field. I mean, he did a bunch of 360s, turn, like pinball, and then just chucks it as far as he can middle of the field, and he got behind the defense.
Yeah. Well, actually, we're going to talk about this, and so we should talk about this. After Oscar scores, they get a celebration penalty.
Oh yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, and so Oscar Smith goes and kicks, and that's when they banked in, right?
Mm-hmm.
It banks
My
in.
question is, do you think so? One, we both agree that was a bluff call. You don't make that call.
No, and Oscar Smith had kicking issues all night.
No, but the kid does a little dance.
Yeah,
not a big deal. He just maybe won the state title with 18 seconds to go on the clock.
Yeah,
maybe it just let it go, Mr. Official, whatever. But they don't. They throw the flag. Okay, bad call. I mean, just let the kid be a kid for a split second. Now, you and I both agree, something inappropriate, right? Like wiping his butt with the ball or something like that and doing something stupid.
Yeah.
Okay, for the flag.
Taunting his opponent, you throw the flag.
Right. But mimicking an NFL dance when you scored, I mean, whatever, who cares? So there's the first flag.
I don't want you, but I can think of teams that we've played where kids have done things that they have not gotten celebration flags for.
Right. And they're going to do the state final with 18 seconds to go.
Yeah.
So there's the flag. We both disagree with that one. Makes the kick. Now let's talk about that. Yes, he had struggled. Talk about ice in the veins.
Yeah. Yeah, that was huge. That kick that he got was.
That kid needs a double R burger. We talked about the other night.
That guy does need a double R burger. So yeah, then now we'll take back the 18 seconds. The Hail Mary in the end zone, they hit nicely, but then they get hit for
People are asking what it was. Now, obviously, what the flag was, but people were saying, like, specifically, what was it? There was in one of the pictures, in one of the videos that someone took, there was a Madison kid that said a helmet came off and got thrown up in the other kind of celebration.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know, this is what a Madison kid said in the comments. He said that one of our guys took his helmet off and threw it in the air. And then I think he said someone ran on the field that shouldn't have run on the field. And so it wasn't called by the guy in the end zone, it was called by the side guy. But God, Hail Mary to maybe win the state championship.
So the announcement before takes them back. Now it looks like they're going to kick the
they were coming on to kick.
And then
let's rewind this. Let's rewind real quick. Sorry, I meant to ask you this. If the Oscar Smith penalty is not called, do you think Oscar Smith goes for 2?
I don't think they would, because they were very unsuccessful in short yard situations.
It didn't stop them. They kept going for the 4th yard situations.
Yeah,
they kept going all night. They kept not getting.
I think in that scenario, you take the 7 points and then you put the pressure on the other team to decide whether or not they want to go for 2 or not.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so now fast forward, they tried out the kicker, then they called timeout.
Yeah, and then they bring him back, and then essentially what you had too on the other side was you had the Loesch. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. Is that right? Let me make sure I've got that.
Who's that?
Deloche.
Oh yeah, the corner.
Virginia Tech kid, 1-on-1 with Dunk Nicely. Now let's rewind a little bit to the Hail Mary one. I know that someone made the comment of being like, "Oh, how do you let that kid get open?" Look, man, these kids are 16 years old. Once that kid starts running on the backfield, guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna start staring at him.
Hey, some were 15.
Yeah,
on the Oscar Smith side, some were 15.
And I would challenge this, and maybe I know we have some head coach to listen to. How often do you practice prevent defense? Let's be honest. How much time do you spend practicing prevent defense?
And how do you simulate?
Right.
I mean, that pressure situation.
Yeah.
At last play of the game and the state title for everything.
Yeah. Now I know you ideally would be, and I was talking to another coach, and he was like, I would have a kid. I would tell the kids to stand in the back line of the end zone. I was like, no, for me, you tell kids, all right, I want 3 kids, put your heel on the end zone line, and don't move until that ball gets launched. But anyway, so again, how much time do you really spend on the prevent defense? My guess is not a lot. I'm sure some coach will be like, oh, we spend 15 minutes on every day, which I have a really hard time believing, but maybe you do. I don't know. Right. Maybe you have 4-hour-long practices. But the kids start scrambling around, and like I said, they're kids, man. They're kids, and they're getting locked in, and they think they've won the state title, right?
Right.
They think it's over. That actually, they should have sacked Yates. There's a kid, and he comes in and he tries to just blow him up.
Yeah.
He kind of slings himself into him. He doesn't wrap up. If he just would have wrapped him up and brought him down, sack game's over. So he doesn't do that. These kids are locked in, and now all of a sudden they're looking at this thing, and they don't know where anybody is. They're just watching this quarterback run around. And so, Nicely gets behind him. All right. So I did want to say that, talk about the prevent defense. And then, so where we're at, so they bring in the kicker, then they call timeout, and then what you have is.
Now, I knew they were going for 2. I told you that right away.
Yeah.
They were going for 2. Now, I didn't know that they said maybe he was injured or something. We saw
that's what is now coming on Twitter. We don't know because there's no injury report.
Right. There's no injury report. But I thought regardless of that, because we talked about it, and I thought we were debating on the show, and Crush couldn't remember either, if they had missed a kick against Braddock, because you had asked Crush that. You thought you remembered that, but we don't remember. I know there've been and then Vosser said there was maybe an issue with
they had a block that they had blocked a kick.
Right. And then we already seen it that night, earlier in that game. So I thought, just based off that, and then now you got a 30 some odd yard kick, you're gonna put the ball in your best player's hands for everything riding on it.
Which is what they did, right? Catch it, throw it. There was no read. It was throw it to our best guy.
Yeah.
And what's really weird is I'm curious what the thought process was with Oscar Smith. There's no way they had that kid playing up on him. No. We've got 20 yards to defend.
Yeah.
I'd have played him off of 15 and been like, okay,
Yeah.
sit for a minute, because that kid's a Division I kid, so he had some wheels to him,
Yeah.
right? It
Yes.
wasn't like he was outmatched. Power 5 corner.
Right.
I'd 15 and been like, okay, put your heels about the 5. Look what he's doing a little bit. If they want to come underneath, then we'll rally to it. But they were like, nope, we're gonna put.
And in retrospect, have you seen that still shot?
Yes.
I mean,
What
that ball is right here, man.
what a throw.
Great throw.
Great throw. He couldn't have thrown it any better. Now it was a really hard catch.
Yeah, it would have been a tough catch.
It'd have been a tough catch, but he put it
Diving for it.
but the Deloche kid was on him
Yes,
tight.
was.
He put it the
Good
only
cover.
place he possibly could have put it.
Yeah. Could you imagine? Oh my God. And you can't poop on. I mean, like you said, that's a tough catch.
Yeah.
And nicely, I mean, did everything he could that whole night.
Yeah. And he launched himself, right? I mean, any athlete that's not the caliber of Dom Nicely isn't even close.
Right.
It's not even close. For him to lay out like that, I mean, it's a what's the any game Sunday? It's game inches. It's a game inches.
Game of inches, man. Now everyone's talking about, and you can always say this, but that running back does come open really quick on that. But like you said, that there was no play. It was you're throwing it up to Nicely.
Yeah, I mean, and that's in a lot of playbooks. I mean, oddly enough, when I used to have Aiden, and there were times I'd be like, no, if there's certain things you on it, we're not reading anything anymore. We get this kind of coverage.
Right, you're stone it.
This is where we're going. We're going there because
you're throwing to him.
This is our best opportunity.
Right.
You're not going to get hit. It's going to be easy. Catch it, throw it.
Right.
And he put it out there, and it was a great throw, and it was a fantastic effort on those two.
Yeah.
And you wonder this, if Nicely's not as I'm sure he was gassed.
Yeah.
Right towards the end of the night, maybe has a little more on him. But and there we go. Oscar Smith is now your 2024 Virginia State champs, right?
Wow. Well, I mean, there it is, right? Like, what a game. I mean, we were all in shock. I went back afterwards and I found the video of us reacting to that, tweeted that out, and people got a kick out of that. I think it's almost 20,000 interactions of us just looking dumbfounded watching that play.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm still in awe and in shock in that ending.
Have you ever had a throw to the end of the game to either tie it or win it?
In that scenario?
Yeah.
Not that I don't know. I don't think so.
I had one. I've had one that we hit to tie up the game to take us to overtime. It's pretty fucking. Excuse me. It's pretty freaking amazing. It is surreal. I'll remember it. I can see it clear as day for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I mean, you make that joke right now with the F-bomb. So my wife saw that clip, and she's like, "You make a joke about me right as the final game." I said, "Look," I said, "there's a bunch of guys talking." I said, "I'm really good at just tuning people out." That's all. That's all I meant by it. But of course, my wife had to be like, she did not take kindly to my muting my wife joke.
Yeah.
And now 20,000 people have seen that joke.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, I mean, God, what? I mean, Madison represented this area.
They really did. They did
as the best you possibly could, man. Just tough, hard nose. Just they have nothing, and I can see some of the kids getting kind of emotional, and I know it's hard, and but
it almost, I don't know. I almost feel like if you're Yates, you're any of those guys in the field, and that moment, that feeling you had at that moment,
yeah,
almost like you won, right?
Yeah.
Like you'll talk about that the rest of your lives, and you might be like, yeah, and then we had the referee threw this flag. You almost tell the story and it ends with like, we do a flag and we didn't get it. But dude, I'll tell you what, for a second, that's the part of the story that matters. I had people writing me and they were like, "Oh my God, that game ended like that." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, kind of." And then I'm telling them what happened and they're like, "Oh, that sucks." But oh my God, I can't believe they completed that pass to attempt that conversion. Like that was that was amazing. And that's the part they'll be talking about.
Yeah. Um,
That
uh,
almost, actually, let me say this. Kind of a bold thing, but I'm full of bold bullshit tonight. Let me tell you, on some levels, that play overshadows the win by Oscar Smith. I really think it does.
it's the Tim Cup moment, the tin cup moment.
Yeah.
No
No,
one can remember
it kind of is. Everyone's talking about that play. I've seen it today.
Yeah.
I mean, Oscar Smith, oh, that's awesome. They're a great team. That's awesome. But oh my God, did you see that play? Like, so kudos to Madison.
Yeah. Yeah. A fantastic job. And we're not taking anything from Madison. I mean, I'm talking from Oscar Smith.
No.
They are.
But right. No,
But
they're an awesome team, and they're gonna be back next year and the year after that. If those guys are as young as I heard they were.
yeah.
But yeah, but this ain't the 757 podcast. So I'm just talking about from the standpoint of these guys that we've covered all year. And what an amazing moment that was. And I think on some levels it did kind of overshadow the game itself, which is awesome. Good for them. I'm trying to find a silver lining for them, and there are a couple there.
Oh, I mean, the silver lining is that there were multiple points in the game where Madison could have crawled up into a ball and just
hell yeah,
and they didn't. They
right.
didn't. They were told how inferior they were by a lot of people for a week, and they were 3 inches away from being the
yes. I mean, seriously.
So
wow.
Yeah.
So congratulations to, like you said, Oscar Smith and of course James Madison, man. It was that.
Yeah.
Right. It was Rocky versus Apollo Creed.
Yeah.
That's what it was. No one's ever gone the distance with Creed.
Yeah.
They went the distance with Oscar Smith.
Yeah.
They lost.
Yeah.
But they kind of won. Right.
Not only that though, they're the only team all year to have a lead on them. The only all year.
Figured it out. I knew it was something. Yeah. It was the end of Rocky, where they lost, but you're like, they kind of won, but they lost. That's what it was. So again, I feel like we've had this Rocky theme all year, and so kudos to them for pulling that off. And that's the only way you can be like Rocky is that game to end the way it ended. Wow.
Yeah. What a game. I mean, it was the best game we watched all year, right?
Yes.
It was the best game we watched all year. But that's what the state championship should be, right?
Yeah.
It should be the best two teams in the state just standing toe to toe and throwing haymakers at each other, right?
All right, I'm going to have fun with you right now.
All right.
Since this is our last show of the year, last show talking about games and that kind of thing. Next show is strictly a fun fantasy draft. We're gonna, and it's the holiday show, right? All that kind of Santa Claus is going to come out, all that stuff. So let's talk. Let's do this right now. Give me your state title matchup next year, and we're going to come back and visit this. Oh yeah, buddy. You didn't think I was do that?
I got nothing, man.
I got one for you.
You got. Hold on. Well,
I'm full of crap.
Why don't you go first? Because you are. Give me something that I have to.
All right, Oscar Smith comes out of that side again, and this is to say they don't change. If they keep things status quo this year, let's assume that's what they do. I'm going to throw you for a loop here, buddy. Throw you for a loop because I'm just trying to recall quickly the ages of these teams and who's coming back, who's not. From what I recall, and again, this is our BS prediction. Okay, we're not going to hold anyone to on the spot at the moment.
Okay.
Without doing my research, I feel like they got a ton of young guys coming back, and almost everyone returns. Fairfax.
You have been the biggest Fairfax fan all year.
Look, you know what? I nailed Patriot beating Battlefield.
You did.
I came a hair away from Madison beating Oscar Smith. Everyone laughed at my predictions all year, but it turns out I predicted Fairfax over Hayfield. I did. I predicted that match. Okay. It doesn't matter. It goes down as a win because it was a forfeit. So I predicted the game. So I still won. So everyone wants to crap on my picks. I think my picks topped your picks.
Probably.
PowerPoints, at least they did, because I picked the heavy duty ones when it mattered.
Yeah, I think you're right. Oscar Smith out of there. I don't see a
It's
big.
got to be Oscar Smith. I feel like Battlefield, although they're always good, but they graduated a lot of those guys.
O'Shea comes back, which I did not know.
Shea comes back, but a lot of those guys, Blackstock comes back, but a lot of the guys on defense, Binkowski, Woodson, all of those guys are graduating. But Battlefield's always good. They reload. I just feel like Fairbanks has to replace a quarterback, but we know Lynch is coming back. We know the Maltese Falcon and Lynch are coming back.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a 1-2 punch.
You know what I thought you were going to go with?
Who?
Return of the Oakton Cougars.
You know, we're Slay guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Return of the Oakton Cougars, right?
Yeah. I mean, it could be return of the
Interestingly enough, I remember we talked about it. Not a lot of the amount of Fairfax teams who made the state final game. The list is not very long.
Yeah, right.
The list is
somebody wrote us, and he's a fan. If I can find it. Let me see if I can find it, because he there was something he wanted us to address, and you had a good answer for it off topic. And he said, if I could find it, I can't find it now, but essentially what he said was, hey, look, he's like, it's very top heavy in Nova. There's only like a couple of teams that are fighting for states. Someone going to address pretty much how it falls off a cliff between the state contender and everybody else. And you had a good answer for that.
Yeah, so it's like that in most states. Most states there are traditional powers, and then teams that kind of pop up every now and then. It's just the way it is now, especially with the way things kind of go now. And you had talked about this, I'm gonna say at least a couple of years ago, where with the advent of the internet, especially when you have a transient place like Northern Virginia, parents are gonna move in, and if you're moving in from out of state and you have a kid who's good in basketball, good in baseball, good in football, you're gonna be like, where do I want to live? Because especially around like the Burke, Annandale, Lorton kind of area, the houses are similar.
Right.
Schools are similar as far as how good they are, right? Some a little better, some a little worse, but not a ton, right? A lot of top-notch schools with a lot of top-notch athletics.
Right.
I think now parents are a little more savvy on when they're moving in from out of the area where they want to send their kid.
It's true.
I know their parents have talked to us, and they said when they got ready to move here from out of state, they looked into what schools do I want to send my kids to because they're good in sports.
Right. I mean, it's not the old days anymore. People aren't moving blindly.
Now, that would be why, and we'll talk about this when we talk about our thing, our show, where if we had a system where everybody was not just kind of captured into one class, where we're at Woodson, right? And right now we're struggling. We're a struggling program, and let's say we're like, okay, well, you're struggling, so we're gonna move you guys down to 4A. Then guess what? Maybe we have a chance now down there. Now, obviously, I think Phoebus, right? Phoebus is the 4A. Now they're hands down, but maybe we can play with some of those other teams, and maybe we have a chance to kind of advance the playoffs. So I think these are things you can do.
Doesn't need to be 4A. Just needs, and you're using in one school in this discussion, but just play teams that are like you.
Yes.
In your, division.
Yeah.
Don't play a bunch of teams that aren't anything like you.
Yeah. So like, and we'll talk more, and I don't want to get into this too far.
Right.
But in California, what would have happened is Oscar Smith, Madison, Phoebus, Maury, Varina, probably like Briarwoods, Broad Run, Hayfield, Lake Braddock. They would have all been, that would have been your top playoff team, right? Which would have wars for 3 rounds. For 3 rounds would have been absolute knockdown, drag out fights. And then below that would have been the second class of teams. But those teams were all been very similar, right? Where, your first round match was going to be hard, your second round match was going to be hard, your semifinals going to be hard, and your finals were going to be hard all the way through.
Right.
Because you're playing like teams. And I think that and again, with your point of with parents now being savvy on where they want to send their kids to, all right, man, you want to be a top-notch team, fine. But when you go to the playoffs, guess what? You're not going to play a team that the team you get in the first round is going to be at least close to you.
Yeah, and I think just a couple things. One, like you said, parents are doing the research now. It's not the old days, and and they're going to look if someone has a son who they're moving from Oklahoma to the Northern Virginia area, and their son is a great quarterback in Oklahoma, and they're going to go to the public school. They're going to look up what schools have had a history of having good quarterbacks that go off to play college, and they're going to put their kid at that school. That's what they're going to do.
Like Lake Braddock, right? Lake Braddock had multiple Division I signees out of that school over the last 15 years.
So it's not a coincidence when people move in the area. You've seen them have new kids who could play quarterback. That was probably planned by those parents.
Right.
They weren't just entering into some school blindly. So I think that's what happens. It happens with basketball, it happens with football, it happens with a lot of sports.
Baseball,
right. So the baseball kids, they go to the Madison district, they go to the Braddock district, they go to West Springfield. That's just what they do. And I'm not even talking about the club teams and all that are associated with some of these programs. I'm just talking about straight up out of town. You're coming in and you're like, okay, who's been good? Let's go there. That part of it. Locally, that's a whole different part of it. So you got, that's one part of the discussion. The other part of the discussion is, like you said, you can't have, you're going to have 18 state powers?
Right.
Like, you're only going to have a handful anyways. But you're not going to have 15 teams that are all fighting for the state title. It's just not unrealistic. You're going to have tiers, and there's going to be a few teams in that top tier. Going to be maybe a few more teams in that tier below them, and then a bunch of teams. It kind of gets bigger and bigger the lower you get.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's just the case, and that's just what you're going to have.
I mean,
right?
even like every division, college. I mean, how many teams legitimate they're going to win the state are really competing for a national title? Probably just a handful. Even out of those playoff teams, we know SMU is not winning the national championship. And then you go to the NFL. I mean, again, you're going to have all these 8 playoff teams or whatever, and each 7 playoff teams. But even within that, Detroit, Buffalo, KC, there's a handful. The Eagles, and then everyone else is kind of the next tier below that.
And in high school,
sorry, I didn't say the Niners there, buddy. Not this year.
And there was a time where Annandale was a high school power, right? That is not the case anymore.
Yeah,
it's not the case anymore. And I'm not trying, but I'm saying there was a time where Annandale football.
Well, yeah, that's a whole that's the districts age out.
Yeah,
and then things kind of slowly move out west. A lot of the more urban and closer to the
AC, right? There was a time where AC football was,
of course, but people have moved out west.
Yeah,
right. The newer families move out. I mean, it's not a coincidence. We talk about Battlefield, Gainesville, and Patriot with all the talent over there. People are just moving further and further out west, and again, urban sprawl, all that stuff.
You could argue Champ, right? You got Champ, who was a 5A team, is really good, and they win. So, but anyway, that's a discussion for sometime in January, right?
Urban sprawl. We'll talk about all that stuff later on. Well, buddy, it was a fun show, man. I thought it ended up being a longer show than I thought. I thought we were going to come in here, talk about the game, and that'd be done. We talked about a lot of things, and it was good.
Yeah, no, it was good. No, I'm ready to go and teach about the 5 types of economies tomorrow.
I'm going to play some holiday music and serve some volleyballs. But this is it. I mean, one more episode this year. So let's go out with maybe we'll come in here wearing my Santa hat next time.
And we're gonna close the book on right.
That's it. Unless we go live during the winter break.
Maybe
to announce the coaching hires.
But then we're still talking about the 2025 season, right?
That's true. You're right.
Right now we're the end of Raiders Lost Ark, right? And they got the thing on the crane. They're taking the thing into the archives, and the 2024 season's going to the archives, and
that's it. Going to hibernate, just like you and I are right now.
Yeah.
Well, my friend, it's been fun tonight.
Yeah.
See, a few days you better start prepping for your fantasy draft, buddy.
Yeah, that's my ideas. That's my ideas. Who I like.
All right, good. Start promoting that tomorrow on the on the social media.
Yeah.
All right. Well, from Mesa Dash, thanks for joining us at All Hitches. 1 episode left in 24. We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.